What I wanted to share with you guys today is talking very specifically about the Supreme Ostentation Keystone. But we do have a document here written by Nick Tater, who's my build extraordinaire co-collaborator that I often work with on my build ideas. Yeah, what this is a very good document that goes into detail. He's like a master of timeless jewels. Every single league he comes to me with really cool ideas and tech that he uses. He really likes to fiddle with things. And he wrote up this document that goes into detail talking about just high-level ideas of how powerful these things are and how little we actually utilize them in a lot of builds. So I'm going to be sharing this with you guys. It doesn't go to a ton of detail about how to use the calculator, but it has a link to it with a quick little explanation. Definitely read this document, look it up. It's in the description below if you want to know about that. But the main thing that I just want to talk about today is this guy right here. It is the Supreme Ostentation Keystone that comes from an Elegant Hubris Timeless Jewel that says Commemorate Caspero. So as we know with many of the timeless jewels, based on how they're divined, they have a random number that changes how the things are sorted, and then it can be commemorating or dominated by or whatever one of the the big NPCs in the Ray class universe. So when we have it commemorating Caspero here, we get the Supreme Ostentation, which says ignore attribute requirements. And this is the most important line. Well, the second line, this kind of sucks, but the first line here, ignore attribute requirements. The big thing here that it does is it allows us to use all of the tattoos that we want. Normally, the push and pull with tattoos is the fact that you lose your attributes and you need your attributes to equip your gear. Often you do like to have the additional life here, additional damage, some accuracy, evasion, stuff like that. Usually don't really care about mana or energy shield, most builds. Some do. Usually, particularly for a witch build, you are struggling to get enough dexterity and strength. And with this build, for example, if I unequip this Elegant Hubris, I lose Supreme Ostentation, and then I can no longer equip my body armor. And you'll actually notice that if I mouse over my gems, it says, it's in red already. It says it requires 151 strength because I only have 90. This might be something you might be able to fit into your build right now. However, there's often pretty severe downsides of using an Elegant Hubris that doesn't really work for your build, because you'll see what it does is all of these small travel nodes actually do nothing, and it transforms what the notables do. Usually, this is high voltage, 100% crit strike against shocked enemies, and then I equip this, and now it's Laureate, 50% increased mana regen rate. So what you're going to want to do is spend some time fiddling in the Timeless Jewel calculator. And a thing you can do, this is what we used to do back in the day before we had the calculator, is just slot it into different slots right here and see if it does anything good for your build. Write all these things down, put it into an MS Paint document, and then try to sell it somewhere on the forums or something with a screenshot. But now with the Timeless Jewel calculator, we can actually just calculate how good it is based on different locations in your build. And that's what I've done here for my build. This is a build, as you can tell, it's a work in progress. What I have here is I get 400% increased spell damage from this one jewel. Because I'm anointing Spiritual Aid on my amulet, I also get minion damage as my regular damage. And so I have 80, 80, 80, 80, 80. So 80 times 5, 400% damage, as well as 80% armor and 10% max life. Big thing that we're doing here to additionally bypass the downsides of having to take bad leader nodes is we're using an impossible escape right here that is part of Eldritch Battery that allows me to take everything in this radius without any leader points. So these 4 points are just for free, basically, from the impossible escape. And then what I'm doing is I'm using a Spore Guard and the Breaststealer Gauntlets, which are Blight uniques. There's also the Stampede Boots. And the very unique thing that you can get from Blight uniques is you can anoint them with things that are normally stuck on only your amulet. So I'm anointing Conjured Barrier and Light Eater, which allows me to get an additional 160% spell damage. And the nice thing is both the Spore Guard and the Breaststealer actually work for my build as well. It's a really nice synergy. And that's really the short of the tech, is combining a Caspero Elegant Hubris with an impossible escape that then allows you to grab all of the really good stuff right here. All right, and then a quick example in the Timeless Jewel calculator. What you want to do, you want to click on the jewel socket where you're going to be putting the Elegant Hubris. Then you want to click this drop down, go to Elegant Hubris, select the Conqueror, and I'm just going to show how I search for what I found. Click on Caspero right here, and then under Select Stats, what I did is I added spell damage and minion damage. There could be some other things that I add as well. Then I set a minimum total weight. So each one of these I have set to weight 1, which means every time it shows up, that counts as 1 of the weight. I want at least 5 of those. That's what makes it as good as what I have right now, 400% spell damage. Then I click search right here. Then we see the matches. So we can see all of the different seeds for the matches here and what we get. And then we can just click trade, and it'll open up the trade website and do a search for what is and may not be available. So this is the one with the highest weight. It has a weight of 6, which is actually higher than the one that I have right now. Let's take a look. So what we can do here is we can actually click copy, go to POB, control paste it in here, add to build. Then in my dropdown, I can add the Elegant Hubris that I just had. Then we can just look at it right here in POB and see what we got. So we have 80% there. We don't care about that one. 50 fire res, 50 cold res, 80 spell damage. And no, here's the problem is I selected all of the notables. And so before the search, I think I actually missed a step when I was showing you guys. Before the search, we actually want to click deselect and then only notables, because we only want to be searching for the notables because, again, for the Elegant Hubris, nothing else matters. It simplifies the search, makes it a lot quicker. And then we actually want to uncheck the ones that are out of the range of the Impossible Escape. So we know Impossible Escape only hits right here. So we want to actually uncheck these ones. And this will help us better understand the weighting for what we're looking for right here. So these ones are out of range. So then if we do the search again, we'll probably find the one that I have. So the one that I have in the game right now is 25,540. So it looks like there's one other seed that matches mine. Let's do a search right here. Let's find it. So there are 2 here. There's one at 180 chaos and one at 2 divines. Put the new one in and see what we got. So this one has 80%, 80, in fact, a shock. And then, so I must have had additional ones selected that I didn't want. So we have another 80 here, crit multi, 80 right here. So we can move some things around. Cold damage with attack skills, 50 cold res for 1 point. So as you can see, there's some really cool nodes that you can find. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is very similar to the one that I have. So if you wanted to put together the build that I'm doing right now, you can do this search and actually just change a couple of the anoints that I have. We can get 400% spell damage for only 5 points, which is pretty crazy and super efficient, as long as the downsides of using the Elegant Hubris aren't getting in the way of your build. And then the really cool thing, like the main reason why it's so cool, this league with Trial of the Ancestors is, again, because Supreme Ostentation allows us to tattoo every single point that we have here. So for example, I just counted, I have 20 intelligence travel nodes, which means I could put on 2% max life times 20 and get 40% increased max life on my build. Let me actually see what that does. So I could get another 700 life on my build. If I wanted to do that, I could get 40% life recoup. I could get 80% chaos res. I mean, the world's your oyster with those tattoos, and it's just really cool. This isn't probably going to fit into most builds, but if balancing attributes is annoying and you can play around, just spend an evening playing around with the Timeless Jewel Calculator and seeing if there's something you can find that fits in your build. I think this is really, really fun. And this is some really cool tech that I kind of want to play around with in any build in the future and just see if there's an easy Elegant Hubris or any Timeless Jewel that just fits in and makes things really, really strong. I mean, heck, if tattoos go core, these Caspero jewels might be very valuable in the future. And just to show you how strong this is, you see this build, my build is at 11.7 million DPS. Without those nodes, I go down to 6.5 million. This jewel by itself is 100% build enabling. I mean, I'm entirely building around it, but it allows you to do some really cool things. By the way, this is just Blight. This build is just Blight and Soul Rend. This is my project right now, is just to try to make a viable Chaos Dot after they nerfed it so much. So yeah, that's it for me. Quick little video, and I hope to see you guys on the stream tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.